I keep beating myself up on this mistake that was made in this acquisition, but it's also unfortunately part of the learning curve.
When you see things that you don't think are, that's not how you would do it, how do you keep yourself from picking up the phone and saying XYZ, I think we should do it differently?
The management from day one, look, we've been waiting for this opportunity for 20 years. So if you think I'm not going to wait 18 months, you're mistaken. I'm waiting, and we will get this done.
Karim, welcome.
I'm
so happy to have you here.
Same here. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
Just bringing you here brought back so many memories for me, I have to say. I'll start with that just because of some context for the listeners and the viewers. I was telling you earlier, I think my 6 years at EFG professionally, I was in banking for a while and now in this business, were really the most memorable 6 years in my professional career. And mostly because while we worked so hard, incredibly hard, it was a very different time, we also had a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And there was a humor. I don't know if that was Egyptian humor or because we were all mostly Egyptian or what, with a few exceptions, but it was always done with a sense of human appreciation, I think. I want to fast forward to a minute when you took over the CEO job. This was not an easy time for the company. It wasn't an easy time for Egypt or for the region post-revolution. Walk me through your thoughts the first day when you took over. And did you go in with a plan, or was it more, let me do an audit, figure out what's going on, and then I will develop a plan?
First off, when I was told that there is this transition that was about to take place, your first thought is, do I want to be here in the first place, or do I also want to jump ship, right?
Because you had an option.
Because you also feel that maybe something a lot bigger is going on that
That's correct. بيلبسوك العمة
Why
and for context, you're head of investment banking already for how many years at that point?
I was actually transitioned right after the revolution into this new role of head of the investment bank. So I started to get a feel for the other businesses outside investment banking.
Yes.
And the good thing that happened was that they actually transitioned over a 2-year period. So Hassan left first,
correct,
and then Yasser left 12 months later. And I always say the story right before when we were doing the deal with Q Invest in Qatar.
Yes, I remember that.
I sat with engineer Rashid, Muhammad Rashid, and he sat with me and he told me, so Karim, the Hassan and Yasser created the EFG 1.2. What is your vision for EFG 2.2? And I looked at him and I go like, let me think about it and come back to you. And I remember walking out of his office at the day and I go like, I have no clue.
Yeah. But also partially, you grew up in the business and you're a practitioner.
Yes.
So I think your day-to-day was also always the task at hand. And I also want to add that I think maybe, I remember, I left a bit earlier than this, but we were all a bit tired of big visions also.
Yes.
And to be very fair.
And I think at that point of time, my feeling was this is not time for 2.0. This is fighting fires time. Okay. It is about cleanup. It is about cutting our costs. It's about survival.
Restoring morale, which I'm sure was shattered.
Absolutely, restoring the brand name as well, right? Because the brand name was took a big hit at that place.
Yes.
So to me, it wasn't really about
a vision necessarily right away
at that point of time, right? So I took probably from 2013 all the way to 2015, thinking, let's clean up, cut our expenses, make sure that the business is running on a sustainable level. And then late 2014, beginning 2015, I started thinking, what should we do next? Because the business was stable, started doing 1 or 2 IPOs in Egypt. So the brand name was back, did some exits from private equity. So we had that as well. So we had effectively stabilized the business once again, and I started thinking, so what should we do next?
But there were some, I don't want to call them ticking time bombs, but you had a Lebanese bank, still on your books. Was that one of the priorities of trying to dispose of this asset?
So there were other non-core assets that we disposed of first.
Yeah.
So we had a stake, for example, in Sodiq, the real estate company in Egypt, which we did not understand why we should continue to hold. So we
Didn't make sense.
So we disposed of that first. There were other non-core, smaller non-core assets, businesses that we wanted to close in Lebanon and so on. But we actually never turned our attention to the Lebanese bank except towards 2016.
And this was good timing because then Lebanon imploded, effectively.
What worried us most, so we took a decision that, this bank that is not core to our business, even though it was bringing some nice profits every year.
Yes.
And sometimes dividends as well. But we felt that it does not make sense within the context of our business.
The commercial bank didn't make sense. I'm saying this because we're going to go back to eventually going and acquiring commercial bank. Or the Lebanese risk commercial bank didn't make sense.
Bank in Lebanon did not make sense. If you're not really operating in Lebanon, you have no other operations but the Lebanese bank, and the Lebanese bank is nowhere else but in Lebanon.
And you have no control.
We have no control, effectively, right? The decision to dispose was actually a lot easier than disposing of it because it's a big ticket. It was about almost $500 million at that point of time, so it's not easy to sell. But by some miracle, and a lot of help from God, we got it done. Most of it actually by late 2017.
How long did you feel you were in this firefighting mode, triage mode, all hands on deck, cutting costs, disposing non-core assets? How many years was that?
Probably beginning of 2014 all the way until early 2016.
2 years.
2 years. Of firefighting on every single level.
And how did you pull with you the rest of the teams? Because also you had people that had worked with you for a very long time, that we both grew up within the business. Some have stayed, some had left. But you also had a lot of groups and teams that you effectively didn't have a direct relationship with, let's say. فكمان you were asking them to trust you on things that's very different than the guy that worked with you in investment banking or maybe in brokerage, the areas that were very adjacent to your core business when you started the business.
I was lucky because I had, first of all, support from our chairperson.
Yes.
Okay, who actually went to the board and said, I will trust this gentleman and the team that will come with him.
That's important.
And mind you, for her, this was not an easy decision because a lot of people went to her and told her, you're giving the control of the company to a group of kids, right? Mid to late 30s. They definitely will take the ship down with them.
Sorry, I don't want to speak for on her behalf. Why do you think, what made her do this, in your view? Mabardu, it's a big risk, and she is also someone that has a reputation on her own as a very successful law firm and lawyer in Egypt. So she's taking a double risk as a chairperson, but also as individual, backing Karim and co. What's your read?
I think she felt that it was time for a change in the company, and she felt that the only way that this change would come is from within. It cannot come from outside. And she felt like these people know the company best. Why aren't we giving them a chance? Is it because of their age? She did not think that this was the right approach because the age should not be the main factor here.
And to be fair, EFG was always run by young people. And we were all very, very young.
Always. And as you said, the 04 to 08 period where things were... it was all run by young people, right? Even the CEOs were in their early 40s.
It's crazy.
Right? So it was a different time. I think the other thing is I had some members of the team who supported me, who were critical factors within the company. And quite honestly and candidly, within a period of time, those who did not support or who started becoming a liability for me, I had to take a decision on quite quickly and reshape the organization in a way that works for me as well.
That must have been very difficult because many of them were peers.
Yes.
And grew up with you through the system. So probably even though they don't have your job and they now report you, they feel they're as much part of EFG or the original 1.0 EFG as you were. So what goes through your mind when you're making these decisions? Yani, what are you looking at? It's just practicality? Is it allegiance? Is it those that subscribe to whatever you are now planning to do? How did you think through these decisions?
So it was never you have to subscribe to my vision. You can have your
and it's not your style.
I say, up to this day,
It's not your style. Yeah,
but do not stand in the way of the vision, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to be on board and you have your difference of opinion on it, come speak to me. But if you start undermining me,
fashion.
It's not the right way to work. And I think what drove this is I had one of the people that I really, really trusted at that point of time. He decided to leave. He told me the politics were too much for him. He did not feel that this is the right place for him. And I always felt that this is one of the two critical, people that I had with me.
Did you feel abandoned?
100%.
You did. You felt betrayed. And it was personal for you.
100%, and we're still great friends, and he has gone on to do great stuff, and I'm very, very proud of him. But at that point of time, you felt, oh my God, I'm losing one of my two legs,
Yes.
effectively. But his departure, in hindsight, hastened my decision to
accelerated
to restructure the entire management team and bring it to what I thought was the right structure at that point of time.
And how do you feel about this today? About him today? Like now, fast forward many years later.
He's a very close friend.
Okay, so you that feeling is gone.
Although you feel bad when people leave, there is also this sense of pride that they go on to the EFG alumni.
And that's, by the way, a very real story. And EFG alumni, and a lot of credit goes to even an earlier
100%.
Group of people when they started this training program, which was emulating Wall Street standards, really. And so many alumni today, across, not just in Egypt, everywhere in the region, really, running very senior positions in important places.
100%. I was a bit younger when this happened, so I took it very personally. But today, when good people leave, definitely you try to retain
keep them,
for sure. But you also feel that he's going to go on to do something better.
So I can imagine. I'm just taking a few guesses here just to put the context. There's a couple of options. One is we have this investment bank. It's doing okay. I've restored it. I've maybe cut some costs. Profitability is coming back. Now we can accelerate this. More profits, more nimble, restore the reputation, do more deals, etc., etc. And then you could go back to some kind of universal banking model of adding adjacent businesses that complement yours. Maybe not a Sadiq or a Lebanese bank, but other things. So how did you think about where you want to take this bank?
We thought about several means of doing it. Options. First off was the investment bank, which was and will continue to be a core business for EFG. So we thought we had our previous management team has planted the flags in a number of countries. It was time to actually build on those countries. And the first focus was definitely growing our business in the UAE. And we started on the investment banking side. The brokerage side was already there. So we started on the investment banking side, and we were lucky enough to start getting more and more deal flow. And we established a name first in Dubai and then in Abu Dhabi.
Which was really under your watch. I give you a lot of credit because, during my time, while there was an investment bank, if I look at the ratio of Egyptian deals to UAE, it was like 1-20. EFG had a quasi-monopoly in Egypt. In the UAE, there was foreign in between. And Saudi is certainly the same. You were trying to get in, but really only under your leadership did I think the UAE and then Saudi become like similar to what you have in Egypt in terms of a brand.
But actually, to be fair, Hashem, that all credit goes to people like Muhammad Abeid, like Ahmed Al-Gindi, and then Muhammad Fahmi, Mustafa Gad, and their teams.
Who helped you build this business.
And their teams who definitely had a massive role in building this regional business to where it is today. So, and in all honesty, I left them to a very large degree in charge of this build. whenever I am needed, I'm there. And then I started focusing on what I thought was the right thing, and that is making sure that we build an annuity, a bigger annuity business for EFG. I always felt that I was worried because as great as the investment bank business is, it's cyclical to a very large degree. And sometimes the markets move, and we saw that in 11 to 14, the markets move in a way that no matter how cost agile you are, it will get you.
True. But sorry, can I just push back here? But that's obviously a very big debate.
Yeah.
It's also because you're a public company.
Absolutely.
So there is a one version or one viewpoint that if I'm buying this stock as an investor, I know that there's cyclicality that's embedded in the business, and that's fine. And I'm going to try to maybe time it so that I buy it as a leverage play when the world is good. But then EFG is a fantastic play because I know it's going to be a levered bet on the region. And then there's another view, then if I add something else, we'll get to that in a minute, all of a sudden investors, and you see it with any holding company, don't know what to make of it. What is it? Is it a play on capital markets? Is it a play on commercial? Yani, you get the annuity, you get the stability potentially if you do your job. But do you feel that, and I'm fast forwarding a bit, investors know how to value this holdco type of, because historically, all of those companies have done this, get a discount.
100%. No, I think they're giving us the proper value for it today? No.
Okay. Still no.
Absolutely.
I know now you've proven that this model can work. And I'm talking when you were starting.
No, I still think up to this day they don't. The company naturally with adding other components, it also becomes a lot more complex.
صح.
The balance sheet is more difficult to read. Right? But
you didn't think of it from a stock price. You thought of it from a stability for the company.
100%.
If I'm getting a commercial bank or consumer finance arm, etc., those annuities, like commercial banks everywhere in the world, will give me a cushion.
Yes, and the idea was that it was always let us add things that make sense to the overall business. So I'm not going to go add something in real estate, for example, right? It was always, let's turn EFG from a pure play investment bank into a financial services company that offers its clients more, and that is not targeting a very small niche of clients, the ultra high net worth, the big corporates and
family
so on.
offices, sovereign.
But also, let's go to the retail side of the business and offer our services to more people. But
so walk me through this, because there were several components you built. So where did it start? What was the starting point?
So the starting point was actually, without mentioning the name, we actually had a discussion with a company to buy in Egypt that did financial services.
Financial service, okay.
Yeah. And
when you say financial, you mean commercial?
No, lending, car leases, and so on.
Consumer-facing
finance, exactly.
Okay, come on.
And we got to a very late stage and didn't work out. Within that period of time, it had already crystallized in our minds that there will be a shift from the commercial bank in Lebanon, and that we will start using the capital in other ways to build other businesses.
So what year is this now?
16.
Come on.
So we started by building a leasing business in-house, because we always felt that it is the easiest, most synergistic business for EFG to build. We have already a large corporate client base in Egypt. Instead of just selling them equities and M&As, we can also start selling them some financing solutions on the corporate side. So this was the start. And then right after, we were approached by Qala Holdings, who told us we have this microfinance business that we want to sell. Are you interested in buying? And that was 10 May. And this was a very difficult sell for the board. Because we were putting, I think we bought it for 420 million pounds at that point of time. It's microfinance. It involves a lot of risk.
Credit risk, consumer risk.
100%.
Could think you.
100%.
Risks that you're not used to analyzing.
It's 330,000 clients, 200 branches at that point of time. It's in places in Egypt that you've never heard of. Yet I've been to. It's.
So what was your thinking? Because that's is not an easy bet.
First of all, I believed massively in the management of Tanmaya.
Okay.
And I felt that this is a business that is in the right point in the cycle and has already gone through the revolution, 2 revolutions in Egypt.
Saw the worst days, yeah.
Absolutely, and survived.
Okay.
And so we executed on that. And then came what I felt, since we already went massively retail, it was a time to open a consumer finance company in Egypt. At that point of time, we had restructured the organizational structure. We have done the most of the sale of the Lebanese bank, and I brought this gentleman from Bank Audi on board called Walid Hassouna. And I told him, your first mandate, he was running the entire non-bank finance business, but I told him, your first mandate is to build a consumer finance business, and here is a plan that we have for it. He looked at it and told me, this is all wrong. Okay, you guys are doing it all wrong. This is too traditional. You will never get anywhere with it.
What was all wrong, out of curiosity?
Building branches here and there, and underwriting credit in the same old manner, and so on. So I told him, how do you want to do it? He told me it has to be all digital lending. I told him, but no one is doing it digital that way. He told me, we'll do it digital. We'll give approvals within maximum a couple or 3 hours. This was unheard of in Egypt at that point of time. The onboarding process will be much simpler, and people will like it. And he told me, first thing that we're going to do when we brand it, we also don't want it to be also an EFG brand. We want to create a new brand for it so that people are not intimidated by the EFG brand. And this is when value came in. 1 year later or 2 years later, we're sitting in the board showing them the results. They told us, shut this thing down. Okay, it was losing like 60 million pounds at that point of time, which was $4 million or so. What are you guys doing with this? So I told them, look, give us
another year,
1 more year. Okay, if it doesn't work, I'll shut it down. But please, this is
what makes you say that? What made you say that? Also, it's a headache and it's a small number, and you have a public company. When you always think of this lens, what made you believe that?
Mind you, being a public company is definitely the worst thing about doing all of this.
That's what I'm trying to say,
absolutely.
If you're a private company,
you can do whatever you want.
But انت النهارده you're having shareholders punishing you potentially by trying these little things, and while it has maybe not a huge effect on your P&L, it doesn't look good.
I felt that, again, it's a mass business.
Okay.
And no one else was doing it. And I was starting to see some early shoots of good stuff that is happening there. And then COVID happened, and everything started shutting down, and this business flew. Like literally. It went.
This was during that year when you said, give me a year.
He gave me a year. جدا. الحمد لله. يعني ببص يعني honestly. And in the middle of it, Amazon approached us and told us, we want to stake in this business. So Walid Hassouna, who runs the business, called me up and told me, look, Amazon wants a stake in the business. And I told them, look, forget it. Karim will never give you a stake in the business. So I told them, are you kidding me? I will give them a stake in the business. There is no doubt in my mind. I told them, let them give us the proper valuation for it and we'll go for it. So I actually always believed in this.
Was the Amazon, did they invest at the end?
They bought an option, and then when we took the company, when we distributed the company to our shareholders last year, they converted their option into shares. Yeah.
Was that the litmus test to feel, well, we must be doing something interesting? Okay.
Absolutely.
It gave you that validation.
Absolutely. And more importantly than to me, it gave the board the validation they need, right? That look, if Amazon is investing in this business, then this business must be doing something right. Yeah. So it was good. It was the proper timing.
Yeah.
And then in the middle, for the investment bank itself, I also felt in 2017 that on our own, after you left, after we tried the several management teams, our asset management business was not going to go anywhere. And this is when we invested in Frontier Investment Management and brought in all our regional asset management under them.
What made you think that? Because, I mean, during my time, that was a thriving business. It was a major contributor. Was it too much headache? Does it require certain personality? What did you think was the...
There was also this shift. Investors do not like the captive model of an investment bank owning 100% of the asset manager. And I felt that this is going to be an issue, and
buy side, sell side, conflict.
100%. And we felt that, look, we have a partner,
who knows what they're doing.
Who knows what they're doing. It is independent. He runs it independently on a day-to-day basis. Let us build this business. And today, we're roughly at $4.5 billion. We needed to grow even more because this is another very important, as you know, annuity business.
Yes.
And the more AUMs that you get, it's massive operational leverage. So every billion.
All about the operation leverage.
So this is another business that we added. And then in 21 came the third line of the business, which was the commercial bank in Egypt.
And walk me through that, but that's a very important one. Yeah, you came full circle, man. Because you were, even from the early days, you were very involved in the Bank Audi stake acquisition, and then طبعا Crédit Libanais. So while in Lebanon, that's his own risk, you remember, and I remember those conversations and the pros and cons. What made you think, I'm now going to go and step back into this?
It was also always very synergistic. We know that it cross-sells with everything else that we do and the businesses that we already built. So for investment banking, you can start selling not only leases, but also corporate loans, underwriting loans, and definitely on an arm's length basis. And the bank
but
you have the access to it, okay? But I never thought that we would be allowed. Because, as you know, successive management teams have
tried and that license was not given. So what made them say EFG is okay, let's give them a license?
So funny story. I was actually literally this happened out somewhere. I met an ex-minister in Egypt who was a good friend of mine. At that point of time, Bank Audi was selling its subsidiary,
Egyptian
subsidiary. So he told me, why aren't you buying it?
So they won't allow it.
So I told them, first of all, it's $600 million. So it's
which I don't have.
Which I don't have at all. And second of all, they will never allow it. Third, we're actually advising Bank Audi on the sale. So I'm not bidding for it. And again, they will never allow us. So he told me, did you ask? So I told him, no, I didn't ask. And I'm not going to ask. It doesn't matter. True story, Hashem.
No, I believe
you. Friday morning, I wake up at 6 a.m. Like my wise eyes open and go like, why didn't I ask? Maybe, what's the downside? I'm told no. Fine. Told no. It's okay. Took an appointment with the governor. Went to see him and I told him, look,
I'd be interested in buying a license.
There is a certain target in Egypt. I want to increase its capital. So he told me, okay, go ahead and increase the capital. So I told him, no, Your Excellency, I think you misunderstood me. I do not want to bring investors to increase the capital. I want to increase the capital.
Yeah.
He told me, okay, why not? So I told him, because we were never allowed. So he told me, what is your capital? So I told them our capital is X. So he told me that's a very big capital. So I told them, yeah. He told me, who are your shareholders? Who are the current shareholders? Who are the current board members? And so on and so forth. He told me, you know what? I like your company. I'm going to give you a chance. At the end of the day, it's a board decision, a central bank board decision. But I will give you a chance and I will support it. And
that's how it happened.
And we chose a very, very small bank in Egypt, a restructuring bank that no one wanted.
Deliberately? You wanted a small ticket or you wanted to build it from scratch? Or both?
Both. So definitely we could not...
you could also afford it.
And I did not want to buy from someone. I wanted to increase the capital and have the capital start work in the bank. It was a very difficult process. Very. Mind you, the shareholder was National Investment Bank, so a government-owned entity in Egypt.
Just to clear this hurdle.
Very, very, very difficult process. I think it took us from start to finish around 18 months. There was definitely some management resistance as well from inside the bank. And, I told the management from day one, look, we've been waiting for this opportunity for 20 years. So if you think I'm not going to wait 18 months, you're mistaken. I'm waiting and we will get this done.
Yeah.
It was also a bank that was created under a law that no longer existed in Egypt, an Arab Federation's law, when Egypt and Syria and
Wow.
so it's
I wasn't even aware of that.
so we had to change the law. Mona Zulfikar came in and helped us massively as our lawyer on this. And we got it done. And then we started attracting a management team, changed the management team completely, revamped it. And today it went from, when we bought it, it was making like 900 million pounds of losses. To this year, it will make around 25 million, it will make around a little bit over 3 million pounds in profits.
It's amazing.
So in 4 years.
So what is today the share of all the non-investment banking activities on two levels, as a percentage of the business, but it's just of your mind share? Because you have now obviously the original engine, let's say, which you know very well, very familiar, and a lot of these nascent businesses that are growing very fast. I'm assuming, actually I know because I was looking it up, high growth rates, but still in their infancy to some extent, not all of them, various levels of maturity. How much of your time goes towards what you've had historically or versus the building?
Once the business started having all those elements, Hashem, what I said is that every business will have to run on its own. So we appointed, so Mohammed Abid effectively runs everything that has to do with the sell side. Brokerage, investment banking, with their heads underneath him.
Yes.
But so that day-to-day issues will be resolved at his level. Karim Musa runs the buy-side business. We have Ala Al-Afifi who runs the non-bank finance business, excluding value, because value now is completely independent and runs on its own. And then we centralized finance and operations under Mohammed Abdel Khabir. We have our the people under Inji Abdoun. We have compliance and risk under Mohammed Gabr. So every one of them runs an area, and that services the rest of the company. So HR will service everyone across the board, and bigger issues will now come to me. I also definitely sit on the board of the bank. So this is the one thing that I am really involved in until today. And I think about how we can increase value or add on other businesses. This is what I do. So I either deal with issues, bigger issues, and I think about what comes next.
And I have to say, it is honestly quite incredible. I think what you've coming from when we started our interview or the podcast, 2012, 2013, and growing this business under a huge amount of challenges. Political, a lot of it has nothing to do with you. I mean, macro challenges in the region, certainly in Egypt, then going into all these businesses and then allowing for these businesses to run the way you've done it, which I have to say is an EFG, in some ways, one of the geniuses of EFG, that I think historically people who are picked to run a business, and if they're doing a good job, they run with it. What that means is you're able to have people that are really ambitious stay with you, because ambitious people don't like to be micromanaged, and it doesn't work usually. Was that a lesson that you had picked up because you were also left alone to run your own business at a point in time?
100%.
You picked up an EFG, or you think it's more your personality? Or a bit of both?
I think a bit of both. There is definitely elements that came from Hassan, Yasser, Ashraf Zaki. These people definitely shaped
your viewpoint.
My viewpoint on how to do things. But also, I always felt in 2013 that if we're going to do something good with EFG, it will have to be a complete and utter team effort. We have the team in the EFG always makes fun of this, but I told them when we started, we will build this on 6 pillars. Okay, we call them our 6 P's. Okay, the first and most important of them is people. There is no way we could have done half of what we have done if I'm running this business hands-on and every day I'm interfering in this business and telling, no, you should not trade this way, you should trade that way, not the right way to do it. So it was always, I have to have the people the right
When
way.
you see things that you don't think are, that's not how you would do it, how do you keep yourself from picking up the phone and saying XYZ, la, I think we should do it differently? Yani, do you allow them to make their mistakes? Man, you have been around for a while, you have your own experiences. Let me just say an area that you are very familiar with, investment banking. You have somebody running it. You know that this path will probably not get you anywhere. Do you pick up the phone and say, look, I think maybe do it this way? Walla, you say to yourself, let him or her run. They'll make their mistake, but they learn, and that's the only way to go.
Honestly speaking, depends on the client.
Okay,
so
that's good. There's some very sensitive clients that you have to interfere.
And where it was originally my relationship.
But so many of them are originally your relationship.
No. Actually, there are a lot of relationships that are outside me.
Okay.
But I never say you have to do this. Okay.
I
tell them, look, if I were you, I would approach it in this manner, and this is across all businesses.
And if they don't, if they say thank you very much and then nothing happens,
so I tell them, in some cases I would say no. Okay,
you put your foot down.
This is not
this
right.
Is the way it has to be.
In a lot of cases, I tell them, look, let's see how it runs. Keep me posted about how it develops, and let us recircle on things. So I do not. At the end of the day, I have to give them also their latitude to move and to work and to make their own decisions. But ultimately, if something goes wrong, it is my responsibility as well. So I have to balance it in between.
How much of what you do? This is a company that historically, at least when I was there, while I think there was an incredible amount of analytical firepower, there were a lot of decisions at the very high level, that were very, in my view, less analytical and more, I'm going to try to put it in a way. I think there were, also it's different time. I'm just being careful what I'm saying, but I feel that the instinct level was very overwhelming, a lot of decision making. You as a person, knowing you a little bit, I think obviously you are steeped in the analytical side.
Yes.
How much of what you decide today, after these many successful years running the entire thing, instinct versus still going back and saying, la, the numbers are telling me something different? And do you override?
In some cases now, after a number of years,
and after it working, you're seeing, I think, successes that I'm sure giving you a boost of confidence in your own ability.
And you also see failures.
Fair enough.
Where
you are overly analyzed, مثلا.
And where there is a case that comes to my mind where literally, we were buying a small company in Egypt that is complementary to microfinance, and we were 99% done with the SPAs almost in place and everything. And this guy who was handling the transaction for me came in and told me, look, we're in the final stages, we're signing tomorrow. So I told him, I don't want to do this.
Instinct. This was instinct.
He told me why. I told him, don't ask me why. My gut feeling, this is bad.
So it was a gut feeling. On the people on the other side, on the business,
overall,
of it. Something was off.
The environment was off. Something was off.
Were you right?
He told me, Karim, we give a commitment. This company will go under if we don't. So I told him, okay, let's go ahead. One of the biggest mistakes I've made.
So you were right.
It turned out really bad, and I don't think we should have gone back on our word because we were 90% there. But
today you would.
In hindsight, I would have gone back, or at the very least, I would have told them, look, okay, we're going to do this, but if the valuation is 100, I'm going to do it at 40. Okay, take it or leave it, right?
Yeah, I'm going to take a huge discount as a safety
absolutely measure. So now, sometimes, I will definitely go everything by the numbers and so on, because also, mind you, the board for EFG is completely different today. much more difficult, much more hands-on.
So back in our days,
it was
we're
going to do this.
Thank you very much.
So now it's a lot more difficult. So and you're always having in the back of your mind both the shareholders, some of whom a lot of whom who do not sit on the board, and those who sit on the board, and the other board members. But sometimes now, even if the numbers are good, I would say, you know what, my look,
it won't pass the board.
And my gut feeling is not. My instinct tells me not the right thing to do. And sometimes you're wrong, and sometimes you're right, and that is. You know, I keep beating myself up on this mistake that was made in this acquisition, but it's also unfortunately part of the learning curve. You know that sometimes you'll have to take decisions.
Yes, 100%. If you don't try, you're not going to. But then, if you don't make mistakes, by the way, then no one in your team will dare to make mistakes. Unfortunately, you'll build the culture of fear that, wallahi, if he's so scared of making a mistake, then we will.
And you know, Hashem, when we were talking about those first 2 years, a lot of our management team was criticizing me that you're not being aggressive, and I was telling them all at that point of time, not the time to be aggressive, it is the time to get the business on its feet first. And then we started being aggressive again on every single level.
When I look back, I think you're extremely aggressive in the sense that you've built it, but with a lot of methodology.
Yes.
The point, and I think the cycles worked in your favor because you understood the cyclicality of this business. There's a time to buy consumer finance, there's a time to buy a commercial banking arm, but sometimes you can go against the cycle.
100%. And look, I mean, also you need to have the level of persistence. I can tell you that when we were buying the bank, one of our two shareholders
told you, screw it.
We're not going to do. And I told them, like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm not going
to. We need to persevere.
We need to pursue it. So you have to also be persistent sometimes and tell them, you know, you need to convince them. Mind you, we continue to be listed in Egypt, and therefore, no matter how much bigger you have become, and no matter how your revenue mix has changed and so on, the cycle itself does not help you when it comes to your share price, for example.
So that was going to be my next question. Two questions actually interrelated. Wahed, how much do you look at the share price, knowing that maybe, and I'm sure you look at it, طبعا, بس قصدي, how much is that a focus of your attention in terms of what you're doing, your decision making in building or not building?
Unfortunately, it's a massive part of the decision making.
Because you're being honest.
Because you know, you can, and sometimes we tell our clients on investment banking, look, focus on the business, forget the share price. But it is very different if you are a client, for example, who owns 60-70% of the business as is, right? And your share price should be a secondary importance for you because you have a vision you're operating, versus a company where the shareholding is super fragmented, and everyone is expecting to make money off this. So, and you are not, as a management team, you're not a massive shareholder. So people will tell you you're not sharing in my pain and in the risk, right? So the share price becomes a super important determinant of a lot of the decisions you're making. Is this accretive? But at the same time, when you have a patient board and sometimes large patient shareholders, you also tell them, look, this might not bring in value today, but it will in the future. It will in the future.
There was obviously, it was in the public domain, so I can share this. I mean, at some point, offers for the bank to be acquired, for the entire thing to be acquired. Would that be an end game that you would? Is it a matter of valuation? Is it a matter of you just want to, you and the board obviously, and want to keep going? Would it lose its Egyptian identity? I mean, without diverging that you cannot diverge, understandably, what goes through your mind, whoever the potential acquirer or buyer would be in those kind of situations?
So in some cases, especially the most recent case, it was something that was welcomed by me personally.
Okay.
It was actually partly initiated by me.
Okay.
And the reason was, again, that I felt that the share price was not delivering.
I was going to say, it's being
underappreciated by the market.
So it needs to be crystallized through a potential stake or acquisition or something like that.
Absolutely. And I also felt in that particular case, the synergies for EFG going forward would have been massive, because coming back to your point about not having a balance sheet outside Egypt, okay? So in that particular case, they had three areas, three markets for their focus, UAE, Saudi, and Egypt. Three massive balance sheets in every market. And we had the investment banking side, so combining the two would create a massive universal bank across the region.
So without disclosing anything, what stopped it then from? Why? Is it usually regulatory issues?
So it was regulatory.
Okay. But the reason I'm asking about this is less the name and more, in your view, that is the vision of what this needs to be. So what you've done in Egypt, ideally, right, is replicated at the regional level, where you have these different arms that you can use, and then you've really created a powerhouse.
Absolutely.
Whether it's just acquire or somebody else's story.
I'll tell you one thing that came to my mind. So it wasn't also only the balance sheet. It was also, for example, I place all my asset management products and private equity products on their private banking client list. So I start tapping into that. Brokerage, I have massive margin lending capacity. So the synergies to me were there. Mind you, in my mind, I thought maximum 2 years, either I will be fired or I will quit, and that's normal.
But
right?
you don't look like someone wants to quit. When you're talking, you seem very animated by what you're building.
But when you get acquired by a much bigger entity, خلاص, you know that your time will come to a close sooner. But I was very content about it, because I felt for the first time that someone was giving us a value for what
its actual worth.
We thought it would be worth a little bit more, but we thought if we go to negotiations, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But things happen for a reason. It did not work out. خلاص, what hurt me the most in this particular case was that when the bid arrived, all our shareholders said, this is too low, okay? And then when the bid was withdrawn, the share price dropped like 20%. So we told them, go in and buy. No, it's not a good time. It's like,
it was too low now. Now it must be low.
Much lower, right? So this is what hurts. So.
Do you see yourself? I want to end on the note of understanding more as a Karim Awad as opposed to just your job. Do you see yourself doing this for a long time? And if it wasn't EFG, would you be doing this, being in this business? Or you can see a moment where this is behind you, whether the company got acquired or you move on and do something completely different? So you've been building for a long time.
I think, and this is the way I've always approached it. Your time will eventually come to an end, right? By choice or by force.
Fair point.
And to go into this job with the mentality of, I am indispensable, I am staying here. And it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's completely wrong, because, to me, and this is something Ashraf Zaki taught me, to be honest, is your success is actually measured by when you leave.
He left a bit too early, but fair enough.
Absolutely.
None of us were happy,
but Ashraf told me on that day, he told me, look, my legacy starts with you.
Yeah.
Because if you succeed, then what I have built was the right.
And he was right.
And he was absolutely right. I absolutely, and I've been in this company now for 27 years. I cannot even imagine sometimes, calling someone and telling them I'm Karim Awad, not from EFG. It's almost.
It's completely.
It's part of my. It's definitely. I spent more than half my life in the company, and I've seen it through good, bad times, everything. So I can't imagine doing this somewhere else, very, very difficult for me. But at the same time, I do realize, and that actually scares me, that the time will come to an end sooner or later. Yeah, so.
I don't think it's anything scary. It's life. From my last question to you is have there been particular mentors to you? Have there people you've looked up to? And they can be within the business or outside of the business. And you've had the alhamdulillah, the fortune of now running investment banking, commercial banking, you're involved in so many areas of finance, which is challenging, but also fun. So over the years, you must have seen people you've seen either personally that have had an impact on you, or that's a great role model.
So definitely my biggest role model will always be my dad, my father.
It's amazing. Okay. Was he a banker?
No, he was
just as a person.
An oil and gas man. Service, oil services man. So,
what did you learn from him?
First and foremost, hard work and discipline. To me, I've always seen him since I was young, leaving every day, even when he was at the top of the company, leaving every day at 7:30 a.m., never coming back before 6:37 p.m. Regardless, working on Saturdays, every single Saturday he would go for half a day. It wasn't his company, right? He was, an employee.
Senior one at the end, maybe, but still.
But it was always about hard work and discipline. And, and from him, I always felt that, if you don't want to put in the hard work, doesn't matter how smart you are.
But isn't that amazing? Because we both have children. When you think about your children and what you tell them versus what you do, I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
And you can tell your son or daughter, study hard or exercise, or if they're seeing you on the couch, Kamazdi, and not putting on your shorts and exercising. If they don't see you doing your work, how on earth? Kids have humbled me to learn that it really is about doing. They follow what you do, not what you say. So that's a case in point.
Absolutely, and I saw my father that way, and until today, I try to be in the office every day, maximum by 10. If not earlier, and I never leave before 7 until today. Okay, and to me, I also feel that for everyone else, if I'm not going to be setting a sort of a good example for it, other than that, there are definitely a lot of business people that you look at and you know personally, you don't know personally, you admire what they've built.
Karim, amazing. Thank you so much. Congratulations. I have to say, on a personal level, as someone that spent a good portion of my career, 6 years at EFG, I'm incredibly proud of what you've done. Honestly, I'm saying it with a lot of humility. I know how hard that business is. I know how hard you work. You've done really an incredible job. I wish you all the best going forward. And on a funny note, when 2 years ago, I think I got a call from your assistant for us to cater to one of your lighthouse. I felt I have come full circle. And I was dying that day to take the food myself and show up at the board and being like, hello, I'm back. This time with a new hat. Please enjoy your food. But that was really, for me,
I keep telling you that the food is incredible here.
Thank you.
And I'm actually
thank you.
I do admire everything that you have built as well over the past few years. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the kind words. I hope I live up to
very much. I have no doubt.